Though, of course, we're going to be getting straight into that PvP. And dude, this is exciting. You know, it's one of these things where I feel like you don't know exactly how things are going to go, what sort of direction the series is, but when you're down and dirty, fighting for your life, that's where everything gets decided. In the bottom right side of the map, a player who is looking like he belongs in that top 2 or 3. Let's see if he can keep up his performance. It's Lemon.
The top left-hand side also has been impressive, especially through the string of PvPs he has had to play. Can he string together another win here today? It is Nanami.
Nanami's had some good matches, but Lemon has looked, at least in the PvTs, on another level. To be fair, I mean, kind of schooled Nice and Firefly in the group stages as well. So, yeah, I feel like Lemon comes in as a pretty big favorite. On the other hand, I'm most impressed with Lemon's PvT. And Nanami looked pretty good in his PvP matches yesterday. You know, he showed some real interesting strategies, some good curveballs. So you really cannot be counting out Nanami, especially in PvP, where it's very rare, even when a player's a favorite, that they feel relaxed in this matchup. I think maybe like a Max or a Hero might be the few players who are so dominant in this matchup that they often feel like they can always win. Other players, they're like, okay, what surprises are there? What are you going to try and catch me off with? Scouting has to be on point, and so far both players are emphasizing that.
Yeah, making sure you know what's going on will be imperative, you would imagine, throughout the course of this. Really, you mentioned the curveballs. Loved some of the times yesterday when Nanami was like, you know what, I'm just going to cut some workers, I'm going to hit you with a time and just punish what you're doing to just come and kill you. He was so good at understanding a lot of stages of those games. So that was really, really cool to see from him. It'll be exciting to see what he brings us, of course, against Lemon, who has been, again, like we say, PvT has definitely been his real kind of strong point, but he did go through some tough Protoss players on the road here as well, so it's a fun one to set up with. We're already seeing this difference of 1 gate versus 2 gate, the sentry build from Nanami to lead into an expansion. Lemon will opt for adepts early, less effective than they used to be as they can't take down the sentries as much, but still has been a fairly popular opener despite that sentry change in the current meta.
Nexus starts up nice and fast. Pylon's going to go down for the blocky block. Nice move for Nanami. I always say nice move, but I always also wonder, you know, actually committing to a block, like letting that finish, usually a bad idea. It's not really worth Cybercore blocking because you're already vulnerable to getting all in if you've gone for a 1 gate expand and you can't invest many minerals. But 100 minerals of opportunity cost, 75 of which is refunded. That ain't no thing for Nanami. Nanami's going to go for the 3 gate build. Ooh, was it Nanami or someone else that tried this yesterday?
I want to say, was it? I feel like it might be
so many PvPs.
I don't know if it was Firefly or Nanami taking on Firefly. I know there's so many PvPs. Not just yesterday, the entire week has just been full of PvPs. The first day of this tournament had 3 as well, so there's been a lot of them. So, but we have seen this. It's actually going to be more than just the 3 gates. We dropped down a 4th gateway, so we are going to send it. And he's meeting a Twilight Council opener, which is ideal, right? Because the Twilight is not going to be, you know, getting its upgrade for a while. So you have a huge timing window to deal damage, and it's not going to get hard shut down like if an Immortal shows up. Even when Blink is there, if you've got yourself a numbers advantage, you can still kind of brute force your way through.
Yeah, Blink needs time and space to work that efficiency, things which it's not going to have. Now, the shield battery did get forced to finish there. Lemon sees that. Does Lemon sense that something's up? Because, I mean, you're like, wait, you let the battery finish? I mean, yeah, there's a hallucination. Okay, definitely. Shield batteries are going down. Lemon needs non-stop Stalker Sentry production, but only a few force fields available. And these first wave of force fields out in Nanami could be absolutely deadly. He's already chronoing the gateway, making it transform faster and warp in faster, or at least cool down from warping in faster, I should say. Awesome play here from Nanami. A big surprise Stalker Sentry attack. It's incredibly committed. He's got probes. He doesn't have tech behind it. He's got to do the damage. Lemon knows it's coming. Nanami with a first force field. Doesn't get that much done. Oh, nice defensive force fields here from Lemon. Does he have energy for battery overcharge, though? Uh-oh. Doesn't look like he saved the energy for battery overcharge. The second battery coming up, the healing is nice, but only a few probes able to get into the fighting. Nice focus fire for Nanami. Is it enough to take down this, though, as the probes get on top? It looks like Nanami has to back away. Bunch of probes falling. Those force fields keeping Lemon's Stalkers trapped on the ramp. 7 probes have gone down, tying up the worker count. That lack of battery overcharge really hurt Lemon in this battle.
It really did, because he could have kept so many Stalkers alive early with that battery overcharge as well. Now he's still having to pull probes in, which is really not ideal. We're getting closer and closer to Blink being done. Will he have enough Stalkers to, with the Blink, make a difference. Now he has overcharge, so he can maintain these few Stalkers here. I think he might have done it big because his worker count is still equal. Yes, he's going to be behind a few units, but the power of that blink is going to be absolutely huge for him. He is so close to having it.
Yeah. I think, right? No. Oh, he senses it. The battery overcharge runs out. There's no healing energy left. He actually forces another probe pull. I thought Nanami was overextending, but well calculated. Really good experience. Problem is Lemon's got blink now, so Lemon is way more flexible. He's down 3 probes. Twilight Council starting for the blue Protoss, who is now up a few workers, but a gateway exposed on the other side of the map. Blink far behind. And if Lemon can find a way to, say, blink in the main or start picking off some units here or there, ooh, a couple of Adepts would be a great start.
Yeah, really nice catch to just get rid of these. So that's a warp in of Nanami that's going to end up completely wasted. And Lemon is going to find himself, well, in a pretty okay spot, right? Blink against no tech is a huge deal. Now he shut down this gateway as well, so that's going to be one less warp in available to Nanami throughout this. And, well, that blue Protoss player is in trouble. Lemon immediately just says, cool, I've got full map control now, so I'm going to take my 3rd base. I'm not going to do anything too risky. I'm going to extend on my lead and do things, you know, that you just can't really stop. Glaive starts from Nanami, and I don't hate that. He's going to be a bit behind. Maybe something a little bit different and serious is needed. The only problem is, I've said it all week, Glaives really works best when it starts to overwhelm. It's going to be tough to overwhelm from a deficit.
That being said, yeah, your analysis is spot on, but Lemon is so greedy in all matchups, so I can see it maybe working. Good battery overcharge micro for Nanami there. Keeps all of his Stalkers healthy except one taking a little bit of hull damage. That was all. I like the idea of a big gamble for sure. Will it work? Well, if Lemon senses it, definitely not. But right now, Lemon doesn't really have a sentry out. No observer. Just knows that he's got a faster 3rd base, which will give him a little bit of caution. But if he probes up to, say, 66 probes or something like that, going for a forge, these are the things you don't really want if you're a Lemon fan. You want him to just basically build Stalkers and then keep building Stalkers, and he can out-micro this army. He can just blink back, defend with numbers. But if he starts going triple probe production, chronos into probes, upgrades, not necessarily immortals, but like prisms, observers, all that stuff, none of that is what Lemon really wants. And arguably charge is also not what he wants. Charge can be good once you get a lot of zealots and stuff, but a few zealots, kind of worthless against the ball of Adepts because their range damage just volleys them down too fast.
Yeah, the Glaives is going to specialize in that as we have our Stalkers of Lemon just going to meet this mid-map, and he's going to kind of take a blink in, which was completely unnecessary. That's one way to kind of give up the advantage you have, which is the blink micro. Now extra depth warp in. I mean, that's a messy fight because we're talking about having as many units as possible to be able to deal with this. Try and deal with these Adepts ASAP so they don't get the chance to use their Glaive so much. So a little misplay from Lemon there, but you still feel like I still feel as though he's got the advantage here. I still feel as though he's going to be comfortable. I mean, the Adepts are shading. We'll see what they can try and do. They're going to go jump on these Stalkers in a second. They're going to try and make it happen, but the Super Battery there as well is going to help big time. And Lemon actually has to back away from that because it gets killed. So he'll go to the right side.
Yeah, good pulling back to the right side. The blink micro is on point. This is exactly what he needed to do. Stalker numbers and blink micro, get those probes out of there before they get focused down. He's even blinking forward to eliminate the enemy Stalkers because those are the only anti-armored damage units here. Of course, the Adepts only do 10 damage to armored units like Stalkers, and that's a clean hold. Lemon once again. This is every Lemon game. Oh gosh, he looks like he's gonna die. Oh, he barely held on. Oh, he's winning. That's every Lemon game I've cast this week, and I'm once again impressed, just defending with very little warning. The moment that hallucination got in the base, snapped into action and went for a double battery on the natural. Good positioning, good defensive force fields, and yeah, Nanami goes for a surprise tactic there. That's an incredibly committed build order. It feels so good when it tricks your opponent, catches them off guard, because you're like, hey, I'm going for a 1-git expand, I'm the greedy guy, look at me. And then you hope that your opponent's not going to scout you too quickly, but Lemon was still dotting his I's, crossing his T's, and seeing exactly what was going on.
Well, great start. I mean, again, you're right, it's just a summary of Lemon's run so far, right? Of just, basically up until this point, just kind of, you're right, he's like about to die. He's like, oh, Lemon, you kind of just pushed it a little bit too far this time, but no, he survives just about. And then he gets into a good position and he plays a good game from there, typically. As we get him into the 1-0 lead, and Nanami will be trailing, entering Alcyone for game number 2. So we'll kick off into this in just a moment. So, yeah, into Alcyone. Obviously, PvP, very, very variable matchup. Definitely expect a whole bunch of different stuff throughout the course of a series. Nanami's aggression did not work out there. He could try something even more aggressive here, like Proxy Robo, if he feels like he wants to try and kill Lemon early. But that has not always been the case. As well, Lemon's giving you the love, man.
Yeah, Lemon's looking fantastic. Oh wow, I didn't see that message. Oh, hello. Hi. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, Lemon is calling Pig a random Gosu. Appreciating that skills. Maybe you inspired him, mate. Maybe you inspired him to play all these different races.
He says, I'm Pig fan. I said I'm a big fan. That's great. I feel a lot of love right now. By the way, I love that Elephant Brain, El Capitan of Protoss, King of the Phoenix, Master of the Dark Templar of Rotterdam showed up in chat. And it was actually Nice who tried the one gate fast expand. Just joking, I'm 4-gating, as Rotterdam called it, which I think is a very good description of that same build that we just saw Nanami try. But Jaishi had 2-gate robo expand and crushed it with, immortals and whatnot. I think that was on it was on Alcyon as well, I believe. I think it was the same map we're about to go on. I think that was the one where he just ran out front and started wrecking it. Could be a slightly different map I'm thinking of, but
I think it was top right,
awesome.
attacking bottom left, I think, right? That's why I remember.
Oh, actually, that was the 1-gate blink game. Never mind. The 1-base blink game from Skillus versus Max Packs, I'm thinking. Oh, no, that was Void Ray. Similar scenario. Oh my god, we've seen so much PvP. Because we saw Max Packs shut down Skillus with Void Ray Stalker against 1-base blink. But yeah, it was similar sort of spawns. Anyways, let's get into this one. Fantastic game 1 for his opponent. He used up a bit of a tricky build in game 1. Let's see what he's got up his sleeve in game 2. It is Nanami.
Bottom left-hand side with the seed. Oh, I can't talk apparently so far today. With the lead in the series, it is going to be our red Protoss player, Lemon.
Not only did he squirt lemon in his opponent's eyes, he's squirting some of that all over your face as well, getting your brain all messed up.
Yeah.
By the way, is this just 2-gate behind the natural? Is he going to go Forge with it as well? Or is he going to go into Cybercore? I think this might be the mineral-only rush. Oh my gosh, this is so committed. Yeah, it's the cannon version.
All right.
Oh, this is old school, man. This is old school, but Lemon scouted early. He's going to see 14 probes only in the main, no probe production. Now, Nanami is walling him out so we can't pull probes. But wait. Oh, can he build a cannon off of that pylon in range of the gateway? I guess he can. So his first pylon he can actually use to start a cannon. Wow, the efficiency of this build. I mean, it's obviously so risky putting it there, but there is a reason to put it so close. Not just while the Zealots rally out early, but that cannon's going to start in range. 2 cannons are going to take that gateway out so fast.
It's not long for this world, so we're going to be seeing Lemon losing some of his infrastructure very early on. His build Nazel going to put that behind, as he's only just now started Cybercore. It's going to be a long time until he has access to Stalkers. Obviously, a big part of that is that he's getting his own Forge up. So you'll put further cannons down, but obviously this is almost sacrificing the gateways that are going to be at the front here. They are likely going to fall, so that's going to be an issue for him down the line. There's a little pick away at this pylon at the front. First 2 cannons finish, and we will start swinging at this gate.
There's cannon coming up though, and there's no pro production for Nanami. I don't want to judge things too quickly, but what is he just going to run past the cannons with the Zealots? I don't think he can overwhelm cannons with just Zealots walking in here. He's going to run past to the mineral line. There's no follow-up to this for Nanami. He's trying to... Oh, he snuck a pylon in the left side of the main, so he's going to try and cannon rush, but in the main at the same time. The Zealots there as well. Dude, this is a crazy rush. Zealots are just going to run straight past the cannons, and they're actually going to be able to force some probes off the line, but no, now with 2 cannons at the front, this is looking completely stopped. This is completely shut down.
Yeah, the attempted pylon in the main base is going to get shut down. Stalker here, that other gateway is absolutely alive, and that is going to be hold and done from Lemon, as he is going to make this defense nice and easy. GG's, and that is already a 2-0 lead. Lemon storming through.
Really cool idea from Nanami to have your first pylon for power your buildings and your first cannons. On the other hand, I think the pylon that went up blocking the wall made no sense in hindsight, because what that does is it stops your opponent from pulling probes. But the problem is what if he just reacts like he did there and doesn't try to pull probes? You're locking yourself out of the main. So the thing is, I feel like you almost want to force big probe pulls and chaos, because I feel like normally with that rush, like if they're like, oh god, I gotta pull probes to stop the cannon rush, then they realize, oh, there's some zealots that arrive. It's really awkward for the defensive player because they're like, oh damn, against proxy, I don't want to be pulling probes out here. So it's kind of the awkwardness of juggling a cannon rush, which normally you'd pull probes against and try to counter in that way, and then dealing with the zealots that come in as well. But it was kind of a different way Nanami did it, which I imagine works against a certain reaction. But the way Lemon handled it, reactive forge, get the cannons up, was just super smooth and almost a simple hold. So maybe these are the games I just wish I could see the practice games where Nanami did that, what the people did, and why it worked so well in practice but didn't work in this game, because it's really hard to kind of mentally break that down without really seeing the games where it must have worked in practice. You don't do that unless you're having some success practicing it.
What a terrible position to end up in, though. 0-2 down. We are now, what, you know, a map away from Lemon, just advancing straight through. And this is great for Lemon as well, because this is a matchup where a player wins, and for the first time, I think, in the entire tournament so far, we're going to have the same player play again later today. So win your first series super quickly. Don't have to reveal much. Just a couple of good defenses. And just get ready for that next series. Get to fully watch, you know, chill out. You're going to have a couple series to wait and just prep. It's just going to be really nice to get through this one without having to extend too many builds or too much brain power. So far looking great for Lemon. Not just for this, but maybe for the whole day. As we'll be talking a bit more about that later. But we're counting down to Golden Aura. It's map number 3 of the series. And Lemon is up 2-0 at the start.
Are you a lemonade man, or are you more of an orange juice man, Woody?
I like lemonade. Is
Lemonade?
a lemonade and orange juice like two, like two?
They're not really competitors, are they? They're kind of different things.
I was gonna say, like, if I like lemonade, but I also like orange juice. Is this weird?
I was gonna be like, do you like lemon juice or orange juice better? And as I was saying it, I was like, I don't think that makes sense. And then I said it, and I was like, this makes even less sense. This is a terrible question.
The bottom right hand side, our red Protoss player is going to be Lemon.
And in the top left, he's throwing the kitchen sink at his opponent. It might be time to play a little bit of a greedy macro game to switch things up. In the top left side, it's Nanami. I think lemons don't get enough love, though, as a fruit in general, because they're usually not that enjoyable to eat on their own, but they add a lot of beautiful zest and flavor to many other dishes and all sorts of cocktails and drinks and foods. You know, there's a lot of great things we wouldn't have without the fantastic citrusy lemon.
That's very true. Lemon is a vital addition to a lot of things. And he's been a vital addition to this region. He has been my storyline of this region, absolutely. I've probably talked about that a few times, but he has just been, you know, in a region that is fairly full of storylines. Like, Nami himself has, you know, done some fun things. Oliveira kind of flunked a little bit, still doing well now, obviously. It's been a fun season, but, like, Lemon is the standout for sure.
Solid macro Protoss, and just looking so well-rounded. I mean, I keep waiting for the moment where Lemon crumbles under pressure. The only thing that I would say is like an obvious weakness has been in PvT, just kind of positionally. You know, he's got out of position a few times, right, in the mid to late game, and that's where sometimes some games were lost when, you know, probably should have been able to win those games. But other than that, like, it's not like, oh, he's falling apart, because we've seen him salvage so many positions where they look awkward, they look tough. I love the trick there. Lemon builds a Zealot because he didn't quite have the money to start the Stalker, but he still wanted to make it look like he was building 2 units at the same time to disguise the fact that he was going Sentry and Warp Gate. So he starts the Zealot, quickly cancels it, starts the Stalker. Just little details like that. Nice adjustments, making it hard for Nanami to read what he's up against.
It is always good in a matchup like PvP where there's so many possibilities to just be able to hide what you're doing, to be able to kind of just, you know, shy away from kind of revealing what is up. As that Stargate goes down from Nanami. And a couple of Stalkers just sitting at the front, ready to expand now. So slightly later expansion, but you'll have the Stargate against the Sentry Opener. That's the difference here. Sentries will provide the information with the hallucinations. Ooh.
Absolutely, and a couple probe advantage for Lemon as well. So he's kind of just slightly more confident with like the probing here. off one gate, sorry, off two gates, but yeah, like off limited production, I guess we should say, right? Because both of them aren't producing non-stop off their gateways. So they're both technically like, you know, you could say, oh, you might be a little vulnerable if you were in fact getting like one based or something, but that's why the probe comes in, sees the nexus. That's why the hallucination comes in, sees the nexus, sees the battery, which Nanami cancels. Nanami realizing, oh, you're just sentry expanding. I don't need shield batteries at home. I can be completely safe just by making units and continuing up the tech tree towards my Twilight. Now, Lemon is up 2 workers, has his own Twilight, but I wonder what this Stargate will be doing. You know, is it going to be a second Oracle? Is it just going to be idle for the rest of this game now that the hallucination is gone? I do think sneaking a second Oracle out, as expensive as it is, does give you some nice utility. But if you don't do it now, it's probably not going to be something you ever do. So it does look like it's just 1 Oracle for the moment. Try and force some stuff out, get a lot of scouting, and accept that you're just slightly behind on that transition. Oh no, Dark Shrine goes down, never mind.
There we go. We're going to mix it up a little bit here then with that Dark Shrine coming through, so we get that ready to rumble. And we just have ourselves the, well, Robo already dropping down from Lemon, so obviously it does depend where exactly that Observer is at the right point in time, but having the Robo is at least a step in the right direction. Good pull on the probes there to make sure the Oracle cannot kill any with them all being in range of the battery. And we find one more off to the side, but Lemon is going to maintain a couple workers lead. Little army supply advantage, and we cancelled the Dark Shrine to go into an extra gateway, I imagine because he saw the Robo?
Yeah, looks like it. I mean, it really feels like Nanami is just trying to catch Lemon off guard, and the thing is, if you keep doing this over and over again in this series, gotta surprise you in the first 5, 6, 7 minutes. The other player is just going to take extra safety precautions, and that's what Lemon's doing. Lemon is like, just make a safety Robo, keep hallucinate scouting, you know, be super chill, and even going for a sneaky blink timing here, it's like, that seems like a good idea. Like, you're going to be on 4 gate against 2 gate. That's great. But look at the army count. Lemon's got more army supply right now. So, you know, how big is that army supply advantage really going to be? Especially with this hallucination, seeing no forge, seeing the gateways building. It's 5 gate against 2 right now. Shield batteries are going down. If you can get an Immortal out as Lemon and those batteries up, you should be able to defend this.
Yeah, third Nexus finishing soon then. The Stalker's starting to arrive in Nanami. It just does not seem as though... I mean, he's got equal army supply while being so committed here. Okay, he's got a probing position on a third. We actually are going to be linked in, though. That is going to be Lemon caught off guard, as he just didn't quite have enough right then and there. The battery was not done, so that was the perfect moment for Nanami to get something done. He comes through again. One shot in Stalkers is obviously a huge deal. Super battery activates. I mean, obviously, that's just because we're again one shot. We just needed to do something here ASAP, as the Immortal will pop. There's some low HP Stalkers that he needs to start getting on top of, but Nanami striking and actually finding a good bit of value here.
Lethality and surprise. He hit the perfect number to one-shot the Stalkers and just dove in there. And because Lemon was surprised, his Stalkers weren't focus firing. So by the time he'd lost 3 Stalkers, he'd damaged 4 or 5 of Nanami Stalkers, but hadn't actually killed any. And that's crucial. If you're already down 2 or 3 Stalkers, then suddenly down 5 or 6 Stalkers, it spirals real quick. And it looks like Nanami does surprise enough with this timing. Even though Lemon knew it was coming, saw the extra gateways, knew there was an attack on the way, didn't realize just how quick that was going to hit and didn't have the numbers to deal with it. So you know what? The cancel on the Dark Shrine, the investment in the Robo hadn't paid off when the attack came. Maybe a few too many probes, the third Nexus, all that sort of stuff. On the other hand, there is pressure on you to do more damage. Because remember, this is Lemon we're talking about. And Lemon is always macroing so hard, even in the midst of taking damage.
Yeah, I mean, this is the barely survive portion of the game, right? Well, you're still getting one shot, desperately running back to the natural. And now he's going to be on his rebound arc, as he almost gets twice as powerful from here on out. Obviously, he will kind of get his own third base up. We're not really finished the third just yet from Nanami, so he's not on a worker lead for now. So he's not going to have a huge timing there. He's going to have Charge and Temple Archives a little bit sooner. It really is army size, but do the 2 Immortals just make up for the lack of Stalkers here from Lemon? It really depends on how exactly these Stalkers fight from Nanami. If they can just kind of go in, get a kill, and blink out, then great. If they blink all the way in, I think they'd have a bad time, but... And now Nanami can maintain map control and continue to look for those little picks while improving that tech and finally getting that third base saturated, as well as this Observer is going to get chased away.
Nanami should take a 4th base here. That's like the path to the advantages. Keep picking off units, but also take a fast 4th and stay real mineral heavy. You know, right now the Stalker harassment has been great. He's got a massive army advantage. Looks like he wants to go now. He's got an Archon about to morph in, Mass Zealot coming in as well. I feel like if he could get 4 Stalkers into the main or something, just a Zealot run by something like that, that'd be great. Oh, Lemon with a crazy blink forward. Costs him big time. The Zealots jump on top. The Stalkers chasing. Lemon is down 37 army supply. That is a ridiculous advantage for Nanami. And Nanami's going to push for the win.
Yep, he's just going to go diving on in here. Super Battery will activate, but it will not last very long. The Immortals in the back are only hitting Zealots at the moment. And as probes pull in, there is a very deadly Archon that's going to splash through a lot of them very easily. Nanami will blink forwards, looking for the Immortals, and he should find them fairly easily. Still got that Archon just blasting, and of course at this point, Lemon, even if you begin to hold, it's coming at the cost of so many probes that the rebound army of Nanami is going to do so much. And yeah, Nanami has just got way too much army supply. Blink in, this last Immortal will go down. These Stalkers will not be able to meet their numbers. And it is looking like Nanami is going to stay alive in this series. He will not let this just be a complete sweep. And that is good to see, because he definitely had a little bit of intriguing choices kind of to get himself here. So again, that kind of typical Nanami. I know the ways in which I can change my build to give me an advantage and to hit a timing and to win a game. I was not a believer of it initially, because when he was getting ready to attack, those supplies were dead similar, but it was supply that was caught up, and the Robe was still producing the Immortal. It was not the right number of Stalkers. The sentries, right, that were there, they did absolutely nothing because they didn't stop any one-shots from happening, so it was a lot of dead army supply from Lemon that in a few moments might not have been so dead, but in that moment that he got struck on, absolutely did not add anything. So big moment for Nanami, clutches it, and we get to go to game 4.
Yeah, maybe thought he had just a little bit longer before the attack came, Lemon there. There's always that moment where it's like, because when those attacks come in, they so desperately need to lower your damage output. And if you are able to like quickly just pull back, or like say when they come in, if you start blinking the Stalker that they shoot a volley at, it actually completely hard counters that, right? Like if they target a Stalker and you blink it, you dodge that entire volley, take no damage from it. You blink the next one they all shoot at, you know, suddenly the guy who's blinked in hasn't killed any Stalkers. Not only that, he's done no damage, and it's really not working out. So the thing is, if your opponent's a little slow and you've already killed 2 Stalkers by the time they start microing, and then they're panicked, they're not able to do any of that blink dodging micro, your focus fire is really good. Not to mention, Nanami was pretty good about randomizing the Stalkers he focused on, rather than just focusing on the one that's at the front. As you move in, you'll shoot like one in the back right of the army, then one in the front left, then the one in the middle. So that way it's very hard for the other player to see exactly which Stalker is having the projectiles head towards it and blink in time. If you can pull off that blink dodging micro, it can get you out of those positions. The other thing is obviously pulling back to where the probes can be pulled earlier. Because if you lose the third, it's not the end of the world. But if you lose the third and so many Stalkers, that's where things spiral.
Well, we are going to go into Crimson Court, as at the very least Nanami has stopped the spiraling for himself. That O2 came very quickly for him, so really good to see him stand up in the series as we get into Game 3. And still in the lead, sorry, not Game 3, Game 4. Still in the lead in the top right-hand corner will be that red Protoss player. Up 2-1, it is Lemon.
And his opponent still unready to give up. Unready, that's a funny way of putting it. In this series, fighting back from behind. Let's see if he can keep it going. He's got a point on the board. Let's see if he can get a second. It's the Nanami. And so far, it's been all aggression and trickery. I'd love to see Nanami slow down and play macro. I'm not sure if he has it in him in this matchup. That might not be his style, but like, I just think like a bit of greed into a later timing attack is always so nice, right? So I'd like to see Nanami bring out some more of those tricks, and you know, something like that timing that he finished it with in the last game. Always going to be great. Big Zealot Stalker push, right? Off 3 base, maybe 4 base minerals. But you want to get yourself a little bit of a lead in the early stages, and I think doing that by pushing your economic advantages is good, because there's one thing I've seen from Lemon, it's pretty typical standard defensive play and semi-repetitive as well. Like in every matchup, Lemon does like to repeat his build orders a lot. It's a very European style where execution is so perfect, but there is very little surprise for the opponent. So a prepared strategy for Nanami could do very well.
Absolutely. Just got the double gates up here a piece, and we'll see what sort of initial build we get, as we already proxy in the center. So Nanami ready to kind of go and try and make something happen here, as we are going to have the cyber core coming up on both sides. When that cyber core is finished, we will know a much larger amount of what the plan is going to be. So that is coming through in the next couple moments. Here we go. Ready for proxy time.
Feels like a robo. We've seen a lot of proxy robos. Doesn't have to be all in, and if you can get that forward position, you can siege their ramp. So the robo does go down. If you can take out those two gateways at the front of the wall off, using prisms, sentries, and mortals, like, it's actually very powerful, and you can contain them as well. The defensive player often ends up having to give up their natural, and then they try to fly out with a prism. And if you intercept that prism, you catch it, you're ready for it, you can actually find yourself in a much better position with the forward robo, right? We saw this with that Stats Hero series in the GSL semifinals. We saw this in a lot of different series recently in this regionals as well. So definitely something to keep your eyes on. Robo goes down defensively for Lemon, but it's a good 30 seconds later. If he can depower this, though, that could be huge.
Yeah, he knows about it, so obviously he gets through. He's going to be able to put some damage onto the pylon. He's going to use the line of sight blocker a little bit as well to give him a bit of a funky positioning. He actually gets the first shot off on his opponent's Stalker, which is nice. Obviously on a bit of a timing here before the Robo finishes up that Immortal. As we do chase, that Stalker I think is going to be far enough away. We turn onto the Probe. Now he turns onto the other Stalker to get the advantage there. This is going to be a confusing fight, but I think Lemon strayed a bit too far. Oh. He completely overcomplicated this. He could have just stayed near the Robo. Instead he went running here, there, and everywhere, and now loses two Stalkers, and that's obviously a huge loss for this upcoming defense.
That's usually game. If you lose your first two Stalkers like that, and you're already so far behind in your Robo, this is going to be so tough to hold. Sentries and pulling back to the main is the right idea. At least he didn't build a Nexus, and he's rebuilding gateways in the back of his base already because he knows he's going to lose his front gates. Lemon has to dig deep and fight from behind. Nanami's already building Stargate. Oh, wow. He's already ready to get the Phoenix to shut down the Prism and to pick up any Immortals and disable them. Stargate is the counter to Robo Tech in that regard. The cheap Phoenix, one of the best units for countering Prism Immortal.
This is absolutely rough, as we obviously now have the gateway starting to take damage. You mentioned he's already starting to rebuild. He will get his Prism soon. That will give him a little bit more micro potential, which is something that makes you a bit more confident in the fights. But you're right, he is playing from behind, and he's going to have to try and find a way. But it's going to be so difficult to find a way when, like you say, that Stargate comes up, so Nanami is already prepping for the future, puts down an expansion, and now what does Lemon do? He can't come out and expand himself. He can't go across the map and really punish because the Stargate's going to really shut that down. He's going to try to get to the Robo facility and depower that, but I mean, that's one step in the grand scheme of things. I'm not sure if that's even necessarily going to be that great, as we actually have an Immortal here to fight the Immortal. Hitting the pylon, we do lift over the other side. We'll finish the pylon without taking any serious damage. That's a nice play. Stops the obs coming out for a moment. Could, of course, use the Prism to repower that and to take it. As Nanami. Well, he's got the Phoenix coming, so this is going to be bad. Oh, nice guess the Probe.
That's nice. No repowering the Robo just yet. Very annoying counter-attack for Lemon. This has been really well done. Obviously has to recall very quickly. Prism is regenerating shields. He's got to react quickly here. That Phoenix is going to jump on top in a moment.
Yep, Phoenix will move in. We're going to see the Immortal just going to go for a Probe, and then what are we going to do? What's the plan? Do we have a recall? Apparently not, so we're going to lift the Immortal.
He's got it now. He's got the energy now. Oh. He could try to recall, but he'd have to fly in with the Prism, pick up the Immortal, and then recall. Yeah, too risky. He's not going to risk it. If he wants to save the Prism, he can still recall it now, but no, he's used it on a Chrono, on another Immortal. Unfortunate that actually the Prism survives. That is bizarre. I think Nanami just assumes it's recalled out.
Yeah. Didn't do his homework, didn't go and check on it, as we do have Lemon going to come to the center. We'll knock down a pylon here. I mean, he's moving across the map. The problem is, you're moving across the map in a situation where, again, your opponent has Phoenix that can just lift up and remove those Immortals, so it's going to be extremely tough for Lemon to actually win a fight. He's also still got to find a way to get that Prism to get to the army to start microing, because otherwise it's going to be sat there not really able to do much, so has to kind of fly that out the long way around. We will shade some Adepts up, and just going to cancel that. Battery already finishing. Again, this is a must-push situation for Lemon, but that's not exactly ideal. The Phoenix got on top of the Prism already. Now they're going to back off of it, so the Prism survives, only losing shield. It could be worse. We're going to get another Stalker warp in, and Super Battery is ticking away, so you'll have one more attempt here, perhaps, Lemon, before this becomes really serious. We do see the two Immortals lifted already, though, and that's so much of your damage now missing.
Those Phoenix doing a good job disabling, but the Immortals are getting dropped. Nanami's army is much smaller. There's so many Immortals for Lemon here.
Oh my God.
Lemon focuses down the Phoenix, and he's got the firepower. Oh man, I can't believe it. This is an incredible play for Lemon from an awful opening. But that Immortal harass was great. The Phoenix, though, has been a big disruption. This game is still very close. Two Immortals have died on Lemon's side. None of Nanami's Immortals have gone down. Problem, Nanami can't build new Immortals. Lemon can. Lemon has so much army supply advantage, and Nanami getting pushed off the low ground. That Prism just did way too much. Pulling his whole army away from the ramp may have been a mistake. I mean, he had Phoenix out. He could have defended with, say, one Immortal and just Phoenix production. But pulling the whole army away from the ramp, letting Lemon down, perhaps a misstep for Nanami in this game.
Well, now we sit on this position and we're going to trade scenarios. We're going to just walk around the edge and start to pick away at that warp gate. I mean, you got to be careful here because if the Phoenix gets the lift on the Immortal in the right place, it could perhaps get shot down as well. And Nanami supply blocked. Is not building any way to get out of this supply block, only just now starts pylon, so that is a long delay on the next set of units. So that is something else to think about here. Oh my goodness. Prism's going to go across the map with these two Immortals, and that is potentially very annoying. There's no like Phoenix or anything from Lemon to just shut down an Immortal drop. So that is the one thing that Nanami has right now that could be very frustrating. I mean, yeah, that's going to be annoying, but that's the only thing he really has going, and he's going to be obviously behind the Nexus now.
Prism is going to go in now. Shield Battery and an Immortal are there. Two Immortals still beat that, to be fair. Just got to use that Prism to protect. Does get himself one probe, but that's it.
That one Immortal is very low. It's like a shot away as we actually do recall, so a group of Stalkers again brought back, and the Prism to micro, so it makes sense so you don't lose units trying to deal with this as you have to pull back. Stalkers will get a few shots on the Prism. That shouldn't be enough to ever shut it down, but yeah, Nanami trying to get more Phoenix up still. There's the recall on the Prism, so it's going to go back home. Now this army of Lemon, it might just be time to back away, right? You stick around here too long, it's one way to lose out. If you back away right now, you've got the base up, you've got the advantage. And it's not like Nanami has the ability to counterattack like you did in the previous rendition of this.
Yep, exactly. Look at that. Very nice. Picking up the sentry so it couldn't force field. Does chase down a few of those units. Would have been good to pick some up so they couldn't run, but the Phoenix are a bit too low. So not going to be able to pull that off. He's going to send another Prism across for yet again a Mortal drop. Lemon's down to just 22 workers and hasn't really reprobed. This game is a hot mess, Wardy. It is feeling so dirty. And you know what? Nanami was way ahead. Then he fell a bit behind. Now he's way behind Nanami, but he's got a much better economic setup. And he's the one who's doing a bit more harassment and that sort of stuff. So, you know, Adepts are warping in for Lemon. This feels like a bizarre game, and I have no idea who's going to win. It feels like Lemon's army advantage should be bigger, but the fact that he's kind of just chilling at home defensively and these Immortals are being so annoying does give me a lot of hope that Nanami can drag it back in his favor.
Yes, I think there is some potential. Obviously, the Robo just now finished, and he's going to get to the Twilight Council. That's something Lemon will do too. Lemon obviously starting to really build probes to actually get that natural saturated. Just up so much army supply, and that is going to be a constant problem in terms of trying to overcome here. As the Twilights again building on both sides. We'll see what upgrades come of those. It is going to be this Prism again showing up, just trying to do the most it can with these Immortals, but with the own Prism Immortal defense, it's just so hard for those Immortals to actually stick around and do anything.
Keeping him pinned is enough, though. You've got the worker advantage. You've got your Twilight coming in. I don't think you bother with Blink in a game like this. I think you go straight to charge Archon sort of stuff. Just because Blink is so expensive and you're both so poor, it feels like, you know, getting the efficiency is the way to go. But Nanami says, no, Dark Shrine. Whereas Lemon says, no, I still get Blink because it's the most solid upgrade in the long term. Just shows the mindset difference between these two. Nanami's always looking to stick a knife in his opponent's back. Lemon's just like, you know, let's put on our suit of armor and let's duel in the middle of the battlefield. Oh, Lemon's being nice there. Could have got a lot of damage on that Prism. Shot his own gateway instead. Bit of a warning shot. Said, oi, you get back to your corner.
Yeah. I've had Lemon actually misclick a couple of times in this game. He's friendly fired a little bit here and there, so just needs to be careful. Doesn't want to have a misclick in a more serious situation as that third comes online. He'll have the Blink to protect that. I mean, this is really going to be down to the Dark Templar. We have a rowboat, but no observer in sight, although there it is. I just turned back to the production tab and I saw one, so you are getting the obs up. The preparation does begin, and that really is the one thing that Lemon needs just to secure this game from kind of getting out of control in some way.
Worker count's pretty even, but Lemon has recovered, and with a third base on the way, like Lemon's nowhere near as far behind as he was before. The Immortals do get home. The Prism's still alive in the back, which is interesting. Hiding up there in the trees, it's going to go into warp-in mode so that it doesn't accidentally get pulled back here. Thing is, with it being up there and an observer tracking it, there's no way for him to really warp in Dark Templar on the other side of the map. And now, Nanami's like, I guess I take this Nexus on the left side of the map. It feels a little halting for Nanami, right? Nanami's like looking for that sneaky trick, and whenever your whole gameplay is focused around a sneaky trick and you can't find one, you tend to fall behind a little. And there was a worker advantage, but it doesn't really represent much anymore because those bases are mining out. Lemon's got the third up. Lemon is more active on the probing count. We're gonna both go into a forge and try to add upgrades 12.5 minutes into this game, so it's okay, I guess we're playing a macro game. I didn't want this to happen, says Nanami, but I guess it's being forced.
Can't really do anything else to stop it at this stage, unfortunately. The hallucination of Lemon going to try and keep information coming for him as well. As we do see a couple more gates coming through, the Nexus is halfway done. DTs are building from Nanami, so going to try and get something done with these, but there was already Observer there, so that's just an instant pick up and move away. And now that Prism's just going to sit there with the 2 DTs inside, so now you know DTs are a factor as well. And Lemon, he's actually going to start moving across the map. If he has an Observer with this army, I don't hate it, because he knows his opponent just invested in DTs, so if he's just made that investment and didn't get any damage done, which he knows he didn't, well, why wouldn't you move across? You should, in theory, have a much better army just because of that.
I mean, it's been a big army advantage for a while, and nothing's changed. Still 30 army supply advantage for Lemon. Really awesome for him. Great pro pool as well. Has an Observer and a bunch of Stalkers there. Will take out the Dark Templar. Only losing a building cannon, not a big deal at all.
Yeah, very minimal losses as we have the army of Lemon sitting atop of the third base of Nanami, so that's a moment away from potentially just going down. I don't know if Nanami can really find a fight here to defend this. He has got Phoenix. He's got a couple of Archons that don't exist on the other side, and the Phoenix will lift the Immortals out of the fight.
6 Immortals.
Yeah,
6 Immortals there for Nanami. I mean, that's a Stalker killing force against what is Mass Stalker, essentially. So, I mean, if you get a lot of Zealots in here, and you definitely got the mobility advantage, I think Lemon can take a 4th, take a 5th base, get multi-pronging. But if you just blink into those Immortals, you're going to have a very bad time. Oh, wow. Still being active with this Prism. Stalkers in the main kind of blink a little derpily there on top of the ledge. They don't quite get down to the low ground. Now he's recalling Stalkers into the main. Good cancel of the warp in and hide in the corner. Nanami's doing a lot with a little. And he's building a 7th and now an 8th Immortal. Mass Immortal Archon. What in the heck? I mean, the Archons are very good versus Zealots. The Immortals are very good versus Stalkers, but it definitely lacks the range of, say, a Disruptor or Colossus Force. And Lemon's going to have such a big mobility advantage with Mass Blink.
Being able to move around so much gives him so many opportunities. And if his opponent is just going to sit back and play this kind of, like you say, low-range army, there is just the potential from Lemon to maybe tech himself as well. This is one of those moments where enough of these tech units probably does win out against the Gateway Force in a straight-up fight. But if Lemon gets time to make a couple disruptors, like this army hates disruptors because it just can't dodge away from them. Of course, that requires Lemon to kind of make that play. He is starting the jukes and the jives, and you said move about and dance. Well, here he is. Stalkers across the map, and Nanami didn't see this coming at all, so he's across the map, in the middle right now, as, well, Lemon walks into the natural. He's going to see nothing here. I do not think this is the moment to kind of play funny with the Stalkers. I kind of thought he was just going to go into the main, shoot down a bunch of production pylons, and then just recall out, but no, he wasn't quite sure about what he was doing.
Didn't know where the enemy army was, right? So he didn't want to be blinking into an army or something. Obviously, in hindsight, I think he should have just gone in the main, but he didn't know that, right? Didn't have that information. Oh, blinks on the Prism. Does lose a few Stalkers, though. Oh, those force fields are excellent. Nanami with some great force fields. Does clean out a lot of those Stalkers. He's moving up the left side. And Lemon's armies, yeah, like you said, it sucks. It needs disruptors, man. I mean, he might be able to do this just barely, but he does not have the same power density. It is all about really good Stalker micro and trying to buy some time here. Because if he blinks into that, it's not going to go well.
He cannot blink into this at all. That's way too many Immortals. He has to evacuate off this base, which was just, well, straight up deleted. Problem is right now is he doesn't have the space on the map, right? This is kind of a narrow map with a lot of chokes and so on. And so he can't really get the spread or the way to kind of fight with everything. And Immortal getting lifted, drop back down, but those tech units are in the front. That's really not ideal. Army supplies are similar, but the army quality is 100% currently in Nanami's favor. He's done nothing but build tech units. And that's something that Lemon just really did not do at any stage of this. He just kept on building Stalkers. And so here we stand, 3 bases to 3 bases again with a better army of Nanami. And Lemon just trying to find a defense here, just trying to kind of chip away at this army as it tries to move through. But it's going to be tough as we do see the Zealot starting to charge in. We do get to pull back, and now the choke might work against Nanami to some extent as he moves forward. So all of the low-range units may not be able to kind of do much. We are going to blink in. We're going to try and kill the Immortals off, but that is going to be so costly.
Good focus fire, dude. He's making the best of a terrible situation. At the end of the day, though, this is the equivalent of stopping your opponent from chopping your head off by grabbing their sword blade with your hands. And let's just say it may delay the inevitable, but you still end up going down. Nanami commits to a mass immortal Archon timing, something which lacks flexibility and an ability to keep up with a Stalker Zealot army that's base trading, that's running around and diving on the bases and doing counterattacks. But when push comes to shove, Lemon made the crucial mistake of fighting that front on, number one, and number two, as you said, not transitioning to disruptors. Just 2 or 3 disruptors in that army basically checkmates the Immortal Archon because it's such a slow plodding army and it cannot dodge those shots. Despite that, Nanami's brought it back. Nanami's playing a cheeky, aggressive, lots of all-ins, lots of timing attack style, and he finds himself tying it up 2-2. He's not going away from what makes him good in this matchup. He's saying, no, I'm just going to keep trying different things, and he's starting to catch Lemon off guard.
That was kind of wild. Where do you think it went wrong for Lemon? Because I feel like Lemon was in obviously a very good spot, and he just felt like he did nothing with the huge army lead. He kind of just sat back. I felt like there was going to be a moment he could have attacked into the third base, but that came and went. And I don't know if he just got too distracted with the DTs. Then he was kind of stuck on this army that just... Obviously, it's meant to move around, but the way the base layout was of his opponent, it was only ever 3 bases. He didn't have a lot of multi-pronging options, right? So...
Yeah,
just kind of got stuck.
I played a game like this the other day on ladder where someone just refused to make anything but blink stalkers all game, and I kind of had a similar experience where I was scratching my head going, you know, when you have 50 stalkers, like 3/4 of them are kind of just stuck behind each other, right? Like they can't shoot. You know, I was like, it's a weird thing that happens because stalkers are so good if you split them into 2 squads, and they're like up to about 20 stalkers. Pick off a disruptor, you can one-shot things, you can one-shot archons and blink away, you can pick off zealots. But when you get to like 40 or 50 stalkers, you kind of just end up with like a full screen of stalkers kind of stuck behind each other, milling about. And that does okay if you're just in a stalker versus stalker war. But if they've got better damage output on the front line, right? If you've got 8 stalkers, they got 6 immortals shooting. We know who's winning that fight, right? If you blink into that, it's a losing fight. And if you just sit there trading with your front line of stalkers shooting their front line of immortals, even with blink back micro, it's not going well for you. Your units are just getting popped so easily. So it's an interesting thing where you just should not be going for a pure gateway army unless you're playing it with that sort of base trade mentality, that counterattack mentality, that I've got 2 or 3 squads of army and I'm using that mobility. Because if you do get that immortal ball to split up and then you just blink and kill like 3 immortals on their own, like it's suddenly the immortal army looks very weak. But when they're all together, there's like that it's a death ball, right? It's the classic growth of Protoss power, the more supporting units they get together in one big group.
Very interesting game. I mean, to be fair, the PvPs have been fascinating kind of throughout this entire entire region, as Lemon and Nanami get to go all the way to game number 5. It really, I mean, the first 2 games of this were an absolute blitz as well, remember. We really felt as though this was like the Lemon stomping grounds, but Nanami pulling it back, showing what he's good at in the PvP. Definitely, again, the curveballs, ending up on some different weird compositions and hence timings as well. And now we are ready to go into game 5. Nanami was the one asking for some time. Nanami says ready. We're just waiting for Lemon to do the same. So Lemon took a moment as well once Nanami went to BRB, but he's just returned. So Side Delta to decide this series and to determine who is going to move into the top 4 of Asia. They will actually have to play again later today to see if they can make top 3 as well. But for now, it's Lemon and Nanami going up against one another.
All right, let's go Side Delta to decide it all. Do we see anyone risk that low ground wall off 1 gate expand? Probably not. I think we've seen that both players are kind of comfortable doing high ground 1 gate expand, 2 gate. But this is a map for it if there ever was one. We're going to be going into this to decide the series. So far, he was up 2-0. All the momentum has shifted away from him. He's looked a little nervous at a few points in the last 2 games. This is where he's got to show his mettle. In the top left, it's Lemon.
In the bottom right, our blue Protoss player is Nanami.
Nanami. He's been so cheeky this series, man. Like the range of strategies has been fantastic. Honestly, that Prism getting out with a single immortal so early for Lemon was so brilliant in that last game, and it really screwed Nanami. Getting his Robo depowered, then losing the probe that was going to repower it, and like it got in his base and killed some stuff. Yeah, he killed it eventually, but he didn't even kill the Prism, right? So Nanami let the Prism back home. But what a great recovery. Even after he let that big advantage slip away, he made such a good recovery later on where his Immortal Harass was just constantly in the face of Lemon, kept him on the back foot, made it so awkward for him. And yeah, he just worked his way back into the series excellently. So I'm both players made big mistakes, but also had some really good moves mixed in that last game. That's kind of the PvP that Nanami is forcing. It's not going to be clean. It's a mud fight.
That's a great way of putting it, as the side course start up here. Obviously, side out with the 1-gate low ground expansion play very possible. So something that's already a bit different on this map that we might not have seen before, but the general idea is fairly similar. We have seen some 1-gate expands just on the high ground. The low ground just means the wall off is there. It's a little bit harder to ever attack into, so it just is a bit safer. As our probe is getting ready to drop down some blockages to the Nexus. Side, of course, will finish, and very possible we see a Stargate as well from both players potentially before we expand. And there it is from Lemon. Nanami starts up a Stalker, waiting for him to, there we go, drop a Stargate as well. So Stargate on Stargate here for this game 5, and both players will see the Stargate of the opponent too.
You really don't want to let them expand here. You can see Nanami's like, nope, don't let it go down. And Lemon does have 400 minerals, so oh, he keeps blocking it. Finally, that Nexus gets down. On the other side, Nanami's like, dude, I didn't even have 400 minerals, so there's nothing here to block. Lemon leaves, gets the probe out of there. So Lemon's preserving a probe, whilst Nanami's is still inside the base and therefore going to sacrifice itself. Second Stalker on the way as well for Nanami. Does make me think we're going to be seeing some Oracle play out of him.
Seems a fair assessment, as our Stalker here is actually with the Zealot going to get some good damage on this Adept. It's going to drop low. The Shade will save it. Going across the map, we'll be able to move through. Ideally gets into the main, into the Stargate to see what that unit producing is, as Lemon is supply blocked on his Phoenix, so he's going to be behind a Phoenix, and it is Phoenix on Phoenix.
Dude, this is the power of aggression. I feel like Nanami has tilted Lemon in this series, but hold that thought. The good probe pull, good probe pull. Zealot does get trapped inside, but no, he lets the Zealot out. He's going after the Stalker. Lemon needs to deal with that Zealot. But the Stalker micro from Nanami being a nuisance. Nanami is ahead on the Phoenix race, though, purely because he was not supply blocked. He built his third pylon on time, and of course, Lemon forgot it. So Lemon's playing from a bit behind in the Phoenix War. On the other hand, Nami's not committing to the Phoenix War. He's like, screw this, I'm going Twilight. And knowing Nanami, I mean, can he really resist going Dark Shrine here? I don't think he can. It almost feels like he 100% is going to go Dark Shrine, because if you know someone's going into a Phoenix War, their last priority is detection. It's all about every bit of gas gets dumped into Phoenix. It's very hard to scout in a Phoenix War, because if you go to their side of the map, they're going to have more Phoenix and just kill you, especially in this game where you're already behind in Phoenix production. So how the heck can Lemon possibly scout the Dark Shrine? And this is the one time when Nanami doesn't go Dark Shrine. Damn, it's the one time where it would be perfect.
Yeah, it would have been ideal. Now it is going to be Blink on the way. So Blink starts, transition made, and he is just going to try and play the more normal setup with that Blink coming through and playing into those Stalkers, playing into that style. Well, obviously with double Stargate up now, Lemon is going to build a whole lot of Phoenix. It's going to be a question of, can you get enough Phoenix up to kind of control any Stalker count? You need to start realizing that your opponent's not building Phoenix, so you can harass with these. He is building the Robo as well. That becomes very important now, because that means he can get some Immortals, and then he can actually have a ground army that is able to hold off the Stalkers with the Phoenix support. 2 more gates as well from Nanami, so he can get the Blink Stalker count up and running, as we are going to come through. He's going to notice there's only 2 Phoenix there. That should be a fight you just take, but he took a bit of damage before he went for it, so doesn't knock those down, but is obviously at this point fairly aware of exactly what's going on, so he can start deciding himself what his next step is. It's an extra gateway, and again, it's got to just be pure Immortal production from here.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for Lemon is, how do you secure a third? Phoenix can't really beat Blink in a frontal fight. He's going to try and fight Phoenix versus Phoenix. Does manage to take one down, takes a bit of damage on his Phoenix, but none of them die. So fantastic micro, 1 hit point on that Phoenix even. Hot damn. Nanami's getting his gateway forward already, so he's already thinking about denying Lemon's third and killing him when he goes to take it. Lemon wisely is not moving out to take it. He's saying, screw it, we're going to sit on 2 base, make Immortals, make Twilight, and just try to defend. I mean, Sentries, Zealots, and Immortals are usually the key here, because you just need anything to hold your opponent's army away from you at arm's length. Bringing those Phoenix home is huge as well. That's so many Stalkers, though. He might just die. He's got 1 Immortal, a Stalker, a 6 Phoenix. He's got nothing that fights. If Nanami runs up that ramp right now, he will win this game.
He's actually going to go for the blink into the main base instead, it seems, so he can try and bypass him with the forward defense, which obviously is going to be even more trouble for Lemon. He brings the Phoenix back. He sees the move being made, so he knows what's up. That Phoenix is going to provide the high ground vision, and oh, this is bad because he can't really fight on the high ground. He just doesn't have the units we've talked about already. Second Immortal about a pop, but we need to find a way to get up this ramp and fight. We can lift a bunch of Stalkers up, and that's got to be part of the plan, but obviously we start losing these Phoenix. That's not ideal. One of the Phoenix still alive here from Lemon can lift an Immortal, so the damage output is going to be denied, and this is just looking good for Nanami, who has a ton of Stalkers. Probes are pulled off the line. We are going to come through once again. The Phoenix will have to do their best in just lifting what they can, but they don't even have that much energy, as we do have work accounts somehow still even here, but the blink forward gets rid of the Immortal. The Stalkers will keep dropping. We've got a new Immortal about to spawn, but so much of the army supply of Lemon is Phoenix that have 0 energy remaining, and so little that they can add to this.
Oh, those Phoenix are all falling. 1 more Immortal comes up. Does get a fair bit of damage here, which is nice. Remember, the Phoenix is gone, so if he loses the high ground position, he can't blink up here anymore. But right now, he's got those extra Stalkers on the low ground. Not willing to commit in, though, and Lemon somehow survives. I do not know how, dude. When you have 1 Immortal and a Stalker against, like, 15 Stalkers blinking in your base, you're meant to just die. The Phoenix really don't make that much of a difference. Now, he also only lost 8 probes. This is just Lemon in this entire tournament, dude. It's crazy. I mean, what's cool, though, is he has been... We're really getting some character in that. Lemon was ahead in this series, and he has played a little bit less decisively in game 3, 4, 5, but when it gets hard and it gets close, now he really dials it up, and he shows an ability to defend in such a scrappy situation. The situation is, of course, still bad for Lemon because he doesn't have a third, but the supply is pretty similar. Arguably, he has better quality supply with the Immortals and the Sentries coming out. The problem for him is that Nanami knows how to counter those units. Right now, your army's better, but it's going to be way worse once Master Zealot swings in, and that's what Nanami's going for, a big Zealot all in.
A lot of Zealots being brought up here. Charge is about to finish. A few more probes, Nexus, a couple more Zealots, etc. all being brought out as we get ourselves... Yeah, I think the problem is, for me, I just don't look at this army of Lemons, see how it survives just the continued warpins which Nanami can bring. He's going to have so many numbers. The Zealots are going to be huge against it. We're still missing Blink, of course. It was impressive to hold until this point, but the Zealots wrap around. We can target fire the Immortals with the Stalkers, and this is looking as though it's Lemon's final stand. What was an incredible season for him. He's going to be put short after being 2-0 up by Nanami, the other guy who's having a pretty incredible season for himself. Nanami will get the better of Lemon. He will move through, and Lemon's fabled story comes to a close here in game number 5 of this top 6 in Asia. It also almost felt like he played good enough to go, I'm not going to say all the way, but like he really was playing great. Man, Nanami's ability to just kind of stop and turn a series around, because he was down, he was hurting, he had some rough builds that just had not played out for him, and then he just says, okay, you know what, let's stop messing around, let's do this, and comes out with what he had done best the last few days as well, which is hit weirder timings, compositions you're maybe not as experienced about playing against. He wasn't afraid to sit back on what was maybe a worse situation and then hit that one time he had available to him.
Yeah.
That's what won him the series.
I dub him the new Haas of the region. Sorry, Haas. I'm sorry. You didn't make it out of the Swiss stage. Nanami is the new Haas. He is the man that's going to bring the cheesy builds, the cheeky builds, and kind of tilt his opponents. It felt like Lemon was like untouchable in game 1 and game 2. And then game 3, kind of like, okay, you managed to get him. Barely, remember that push on Golden Aura, right? Was like barely up in army supply, but he blinks in and starts one-shotting the Stalkers and stuff. And now suddenly Nanami wins, eliminates Lemon from the tournament, where I really felt like if Lemon had another shot at Oliveira or Nice, he was probably favored to even beat both of them. So that for me is kind of upsetting for Lemon, but also I'm sure it's going to be character building. It's exciting because we got a cheeky, aggressive, kind of cheesy Protoss player getting to that top, what is he, in the top 4 now? Top 5?
Yeah, top 4.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, really, really cool stuff. All right, well, that is going to be our update. Obviously, that does mean we will see Nanami again later today. He will be playing in the lower bracket round of 2 when we get there a bit further down the line. We can take a peek at the overall schedule here, as we now know that Nanami will be playing against the winner of Yashi and Coffee, and that's going to be our next matchup coming up. So TVP of the aggressive variety as Coffee takes on Yashi. We'll be back with that in just a few.
ESL StarCraft 2 Masters is brought to you in part by Monster Energy and the United States Air Force.
Welcome back, everybody, as we are live with more SC2 in the ESL SC2 Masters Regional Spring. We kick off into Yeshi vs. Coffee PVT style. Stepping away from the PVT for a little bit here, Pig, for the next couple of matchups, which is, we have had a lot of PvP in this region, so stepping away. But we know what